about to start. Come on. Hi, I'm Lacey Nobles with the City of Lubbock. We'll start in just a second. Let's give our media partners a few seconds to join in.
Yeah, we're about to. Oh, you're making a cameo appearance.
Okay, good evening and thank you for joining us. The first meeting of the Lubbock Economic Recovery Task Force, or LERT, just wrapped up a few minutes ago. And we're going to hear an update from the co-chairs of the task force, City Councilman Steve Massengale and Robert Taylor of United Supermarkets. But first, I'm going to pass it on to Robert Taylor, and we have Mayor Dan Pope with us.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Thanks, Lacey. Good afternoon. I want to just start by thanking Steve and Robert for their leadership in this effort. It is important that I make one thing clear. The Lubbock City Council wants to get business restarted in our community as quick as it is safely possible. And I believe that our Lubbock Economic Recovery Task Force also subscribes to that fact. And I'm looking forward to Robert and Steve being able to share the details of their meeting today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Let me just tell you, first of all, I think how important this is to not only the city of Lubbock, to this committee. We had 22 members on this committee, and we had 22 members in full attendance for the whole time of the meeting. Very engaged. We spent quite a bit of time in the beginning of the meeting to absorb the data so we understand what we're facing as far as the healthcare risk and the current situation here in Lubbock as far as healthcare. We heard from the hospitals as far as what their capacity is, and feel good about a lot of data that we heard there. We discussed state and local orders, so we understood what preceded what and what we're currently under. We discussed what guidance we have and what liberties we have as a city and what liberties we don't have, so we would understand that. And then we touched a little bit on what the future may look like in testing. I will say that there was a lot of engagement. There's a short period of time. We want to attack this in a way that we can bring out the quickest results, and yet at the same time, results that will lead us to a safe re-entering the economy of Lubbock and businesses being able to operate the way they're used to. So we don't want to rush anything, but at the same time, we won't be as aggressive as we can. We decided the best way to do that, we'd put this in bite-sized forms and form 4 committees that we would research this over the next few days. So we have a lot of people committing a lot of hours to make this work as we go through this committee structure. I think we'll have a successful outcome. I think we'll have one that hopefully will be satisfy the ones that are concerned about the safety precautions and about the COVID-19 and about how real it is with our health, but at the same time, address the economic needs and reopen businesses in a safe manner. Steve, you want to cover anything else on that?
Thank you, Robert. You did a great job. I would add in a couple of things is that the group had great discussion and input from both sides on how we reopen Lubbock and we get small businesses open, balancing lives and livelihoods. We did get a one particular update from the CEOs of our hospitals as it relates to the governor's most recent order of relieving the restrictions on elective procedures in their facilities, and that was beneficial to the group. Mr. Taylor's correct. We are assigning committees. Work will continue tomorrow. We have a Get Lubbock Open committee. We have a communications committee. We will have a medical science committee because it's very important that we continue to monitor the data and the demand on our healthcare industry as we reopen Lubbock. And then we will have an education committee. Our committees are going to work hard this week to report back to our task force on Friday. We would like the initial guidelines prepared and ready to submit to the City Council on our April 28th regularly scheduled meeting. And with that, I would open it up for any questions.
Okay, members of the media, if y'all will use the raise your hand feature. Okay, we have Sarah with the AJ.
Hi all, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful, thanks guys. I have two questions. I'm gonna go ahead and ask them both at once just to get out of the way. First off, are y'all aware of any businesses that have already decided to permanently close in the wake of this economic troubles?
Sarah, I am not aware of any that have permanently closed.
Okay.
Sarah, I have not heard anything either. I know that there's several out there that say they're teetering on that point.
Sure, that's what I've heard as well. I'm seeing a lot of news down in Austin today of places making that decision. So just wanted to check. And then second question, as we're kind of planning this first phase of reopening, is the possibility of a second wave of cases kind of going into this initial planning as well?
Well, Sarah, I mean, there's always risk, and we know that we're in an environment of risk right now, but I think our goal is to open in a manner that does not create a situation where we have a second wave.
Agreed, yes.
Thank y'all.
Next question is Christy Martinez Garcia.
Good afternoon. This is Christy Martinez Garcia with Latino Lubbock Magazine. First, congratulations on your committee. I feel confident knowing that Robert Taylor is there, and Steve, you did a great job this weekend on your interview. But on that note, I noticed that there are 4 women and 3 men of color. I'd like to know what criteria were used to form this committee, because many can't help to notice that there are no women of color on your committee, the fastest growing business segment in this community.
Sure, it's a great question, Christy. You know, what we considered were C-level stakeholders in our community. That's generally the CEO, COO, CFO level in a business, somebody that we're looking for people that understand how to have spirited debate and make intelligent decisions. And that's not to say anyone who isn't included in the committee won't be doing that. We've also made a commitment to include many others. I had a conference call today with, for example, a salon owner, and that would be one example of we'll include people like that, those impacted people in our discussions as we move forward.
I have another question if I can, and that is, what will be the committee's most significant charge, or what outcome is most important for the city's economic recovery?
You want to take that?
I think looking at it from which is our charge, the recovery and get business recovery, economic recovery. So I think that will be the most important thing, is to get us recovered in a way that we prevent a second spike in the virus. So that's why we're seeking not only economic impact and business impact, but we're seeking from the medical community also what it will take to do that and keep everybody safe while we're getting people back to work.
We have Blair.
Hi all, can you hear me?
Hi, Blair.
Yes.
Hi. So my question is just kind of what we think might happen as it comes to opening businesses. So we saw today that Georgia is now going to allow restaurants, theaters, salons, all these sort of businesses to open up at once on April 24th. Do we think that we see that happening in Lubbock, or is there going to be more of a gradual opening of businesses and that sort of thing?
Again, our committees have not started their work, but from the information I have a sense that it would be gradual. I would think the first target's going to be non-essential retail and what we can do to get those types of businesses open. And then following that, we will look at guidelines to allow our restaurants and personal care service businesses to open in a safe and responsible manner.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So just to follow up on that, personal care services, I know we're all missing our hair salons and our nail salons and our barber shops. Would you see it being more of like a limit on how many people can be in the store? You know, what are the preliminary thoughts about how we're going to reopen those businesses?
You know, I don't know that we discussed that much detail on this meeting. We did throw out a lot of things that were going to happen to have a safe return. Among those was capacity and limiting the crowd in certain areas. Also, what would be expected of the customers or the guests that enter the retail establishment, as well as how the retail establishment should proceed as far as safety precautions, sanitation, and items like that. I don't think that we've reached any final conclusion, but that's the direction of the conversation's going.
Our next question is from Austin Watts.
Hello.
Hey, Austin.
Austin.
Hi, this is Austin Watts with the Daily Toreador. So I was wondering, I've heard discussion among other large national businesses as they plan to reopen, there's talk of regular testing for their employees. Is that something that you expect to discuss or possibly include for local businesses?
We were just talking about that. Robert, you want to take that one too?
Yeah, I would expect that to be definitely discussed. I think limiting factors are going to have to be overcome, and that is some of the equipment and the PPE and like thermometers are not readily available just on demand. Sometimes they've got to be booked and ordered and received. So all of that will factor in as to timing and the health security that we want to seek for the citizens.
Yeah, I think we all know what the basic elements of this are going to be. There's going to be a cleanliness, a sanitization, if that's the right word. There's going to be social distancing. And we know that taking someone's temperature is one of those checks. And so I can just tell you from my perspective, my businesses, we will be taking temperatures of our staff members. And as we develop our own plans inside of the guidelines that the city issues to be able to open our businesses back up.
Yeah, let me add just one thing. What we have found in our own experience at United and all the other auxiliary business that circle around retail is that it's a very, very helpful tool to determine somebody's physical ability to return to work.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, and our last question will be from Melanie Camacho from KCBD.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Melanie.
Hello. My question is, y'all are a task force. Where are you guys doing this research to come up with these recommendations? You kind of said it, but are you looking at other cities? Are you looking at our city? Are you talking to the governor? Where, you know, you're taking in research and you're coming up with these recommendations. Where are you coming up with this research?
Well, I can tell you, Melanie, we have several sources to rely on. There's some think tank policy books out there right now that are pretty good. The American Enterprise Institute has done some good work. We have the White House's guidelines for reopening in our arsenal. We are also in close contact with the Texas governor's strike force. I visited, I think Robert and I both visited with members of that task force earlier today. And so as all these ideas come together, we're using those resources to make our decisions. Let's keep in mind that our most important resource is the data that results from our local healthcare providers as we continue to monitor and fight the virus.
Awesome. And my last quick question, you already said it, but can you please remind me, how often are y'all meeting this task force?
Well, I'll take that one. Mr. Taylor and I we're going to sit down and go ahead and set a calendar. I can tell you for the immediate next few days, they are going to meet very frequently until we can get on a regular cadence. But our order is tall because we need to be able to make a recommendation to City Council by next Tuesday, the 28th.
Great, thanks.
Okay, and that wraps up media questions. If the panelists have anything else they want to add?
Nope. I thought that was a good conference.
We thank you
Thank you.
both for meeting with us today, and thank you to our media, and hope you all have a good evening.
Thanks, Lacey. Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Lacey.